I just wanted to kind of see like if you were in good spirits.
You know, this is like a boxer.
Lil Durk has never been shy about acknowledging how incarceration has shaped him, and now newly surfaced footage is giving the public an unfiltered glimpse of Durk and a close associate enduring harsh conditions, stirring real concern among fans. Rumors are circulating that Durk's rivals may be tightening their reach inside the facility, and the clips spreading online paint a grim picture. Life behind bars has been unforgiving for Lil Durk, and the visuals make that brutally clear, especially considering where he's being held. Durk is currently detained inside MDC Los Angeles, a center infamous for its troubling history. Judges have openly condemned the place as barbaric, citing everything from suicide attempts and violent altercations to corrupt staff funneling in contraband. Inside that environment, every day presents real threats, not only from foes but from the institution itself, and given how many enemies Durk has accumulated over the years, survival behind those walls is far from simple. One of the most circulated phone calls online captures Durk speaking with DJ Academics, offering a rare window into his state of mind as he confronts the possibility of life-changing federal charges.
I've been good, man, mentally, spiritually. I've been on top of my...
He says, a statement delivered with his signature calm, the same mindset that has carried him through every storm in his rise. Yet beneath that composed voice lies a man wrestling with the reality that he could spend years separated from his children, his partner India Royal, and the music empire he has spent more than a decade building. The conversation grows heavier as Durk expresses gratitude for the prayers and support coming his way while speaking honestly about the brutal nature of federal detention.
You know, this is like a boxer here. You know, we don't get no news, no talk, no nothing. If you don't call or somebody send it to you on the computer, it's a wrap.
His words sketch a stark image of the isolation that defines federal time, where even the smallest communication from the outside world becomes priceless. But what truly signals transformation is Durk's discussion of his spiritual evolution while confined. The rapper, who has become increasingly vocal about his Muslim faith, explains that he has been learning Arabic from fellow inmates and grounding himself through prayer and religious study.
I ain't really on too much of nothing, bro. I don't even be thinking about the outside.
I see your father, like, you know, he was speaking about you, and you know, it brought me back to the conversation we had.
This spiritual shift echoes the direction Durk has been moving in publicly in recent years, as he attempts to balance his deep-rooted street identity with a growing focus on peace and community uplift. While incarcerated, Durk has reportedly continued promoting a message of unity through his Neighborhood Heroes Foundation, though several partnerships were paused because of the charges. But Durk isn't navigating this federal crisis alone. The footage and communications highlight that multiple members of his Only the Family collective are locked up beside him, amounting to what many are calling the near collapse of one of Chicago's most influential hip-hop movements. Durk was arrested with 5 co-defendants, all tied to Only the Family, who are facing the same sweeping conspiracy charges and the same possibility of life sentences. These individuals, once central to Durk's inner circle, now stand accused in the same high-stakes federal case. Among them, Kevin London Grant, known in the streets as Cause or Vonnie, is considered the most significant of Durk's co-defendants. Aged 28 and based in Atlanta, though originally from Chicago, Grant is portrayed in federal filings as a high-ranking F affiliate and one of Durk's earliest and most trusted associates. According to the indictment, prosecutors claim he played a central role in organizing the logistics behind the alleged murder-for-hire scheme, including securing ski masks, arranging rental vehicles, and supplying firearms, one of which was reportedly modified to fire automatically. The most damaging accusation against him is the allegation that he used Lil Durk's credit card to reserve a hotel room for the crew, then traveled with Durk on a private jet to Los Angeles the day before the shooting. He is currently being held in federal custody in Illinois, awaiting transfer to Los Angeles. DeAndre Dantrell Wilson, known as DD, is identified as another major figure within the alleged conspiracy. At age 33 and hailing from Chicago, Wilson is described as an F member responsible for handling finances and transportation. Prosecutors allege he arranged one-way flights from Chicago to San Diego for the alleged hit team using link funds and helped coordinate their drive into Los Angeles. The fact that these were one-way tickets suggests the participants either did not plan on returning or intended to disappear after the attack. Wilson is also currently held in federal custody in Illinois, alongside other associates, Boogie, Brown A's, and Flacker, who are all incarcerated on charges tied to the same operation. What makes the situation even more devastating is that all of these individuals were arrested in Chicago on October 24, 2024, just days before Lil Durk himself was taken into custody in Florida while allegedly attempting to flee the country. The coordinated timing strongly indicates that federal agents executed a large-scale takedown, securing the suspected participants before apprehending the man they claim directed the operation. But the wave of arrests involving F affiliates extends far beyond the central federal case. Several additional members were taken into custody in August 2025 on unrelated charges amid speculation that the entire crew had fallen under intensified surveillance following Durk's indictment. Funa was arrested on August 2, 2025, in Chicago and charged with burglary, murder, and disposing of a body inside a church, the killing of Oscar Ounce Cruz, whose remains were allegedly dumped after being shot 17 times. Though separate from the federal conspiracy, the case adds to the mounting legal pressure surrounding the crew. Boone Mo was also arrested in August 2025 for possession of cocaine with intent to distribute. As a signed F artist and frequent collaborator with Durk, he He has remained in custody since and faces significant potential prison time if convicted. Meanwhile, DJ Bands, Durk's official DJ and producer, was arrested in August 2025 for marijuana possession and a probation violation. Reports state that his charges stem from drugs discovered during a routine compliance check, which violated terms from previous convictions. But the legal setbacks didn't end there. In May 2025, prosecutors presented evidence that Durk had broken federal detention rules by using the phone accounts of at least 13 other inmates to make calls, including unauthorized three-way conversations. The presiding judge described this behavior as a clear disregard for institutional regulations, undermining arguments that Durk could be trusted with release, even under a proposed $4.505 million bail package that included strict monitoring, home confinement, and private security. Prosecutors' reasoning was blunt but impactful. If Durk could not follow basic jail protocols, how could he be expected to comply with conditions of pretrial release? This breach of phone privileges became only one of several communications that leaked publicly, fueling a steady flow of viral content for social media users and hip-hop analysts. The federal strategy, built on surveillance, informants, and the threat of life sentences, forms the backbone of the government's case, grounded in allegations that Durk orchestrated the plot by promising cash and industry opportunities to F members in exchange for targeting Quando Rondo. This wasn't presented as a spur-of-the-moment feud spiraling out of control, but rather what authorities describe as a meticulously structured, multi-state operation involving deliberate planning, significant money, and coordinated actions across several cities. Investigators say the details paint a chilling picture of how the alleged plan unfolded. 5 associates traveled from Chicago to Los Angeles using Lil Durk's credit card for their airfare and lodging, and attempted the hit using multiple firearms, including one reportedly outfitted with a machine gun conversion device. The sophistication and financial backing behind the operation indicate this was far removed from casual street violence. Federal agents say the case has produced more than 200,000 pages of evidence, including bank statements, travel itineraries, surveillance materials, and, most devastating, recordings captured by a confidential informant who had allegedly been wired up for years. But even more unsettling than the government's evidence are the communications coming from Durk's enemies while he has been behind bars. In one disturbing viral clip, an individual claiming to be one of his ops issues a shocking threat that underscores the level of hatred and brutality encircling the case.
Because if I get home for him, I'm going to kill his kids, bro.
Stop playing with me. You just say if you get home before him, you gonna kill his kids. Come on, gang.
Hey, it is what it is.
Come on, gang. You been in jail
I hope he get home.
100,000 years.
Praying. I need him to get home.
Come on, gang.
This threat targeting Durk's children underscores just how deadly serious the street tensions are that prosecutors say fueled the alleged murder-for-hire scheme. Meanwhile, the identity of the government's key informant has become one of the most debated elements of the case in hip-hop circles. The prosecution's theory leans heavily on intel from a confidential insider who reportedly wore a wire for several years, capturing recordings and information that investigators say directly link Lil Durk to the plot. Although online speculation widely points to this informant being Jam, a longtime member who was released from prison in 2022 after serving a 12-year sentence for attempted murder, his identity has not been officially confirmed in the public legal filings. The alleged involvement of this figure adds a layer of betrayal that has sent shockwaves through the rap community. A resurfaced 2023 interview shows Jam praising Durk for supporting him financially and emotionally during his bid, mentioning how Durk sent money and even referenced him in songs. The contrast between those public expressions of loyalty and the alleged cooperation with federal investigators has created a narrative that feels like a modern betrayal saga pulled straight from the streets. Analysts throughout hip-hop media have been dissecting the implications of the informant's cooperation with unprecedented scrutiny, including a detailed breakdown by commentator Hood Educated, who highlights the precision of the federal strategy.
This co-conspirator who is unnamed. Check it out, right? This how cold-blooded this unnamed co-conspirator is. Let me show you the power of this unnamed co-conspirator. He offered money. Not only that.
The analysis continues by outlining how methodically the feds constructed their case around the cooperating witness, revealing how deeply embedded surveillance had become. One piece of leaked footage from October 2024 shows Jam eating McDonald's during an interrogation, glancing at the camera in a moment that quickly spawned memes about him snitching for a Big Mac. While the jokes reflect the internet's tendency to clown anything, the humor masks the severity of the perceived betrayal. In the culture of the streets, cooperating with law enforcement is seen as the ultimate violation of loyalty. The broader investigation has also exposed patterns of alleged criminal activity that prosecutors say stretch far beyond the Quando Rondo situation. DJ Academics, who has covered nearly every development in Durk's legal battles, has provided context on the long-standing interest law enforcement agencies have shown in Durk's movements.
When Durk gets caught in a shooting with Vaughn in Atlanta, detectives from Chicago travel to Atlanta just to testify in a pretrial hearing just to keep him in jail.
This reveals the multi-jurisdictional effort that has been targeting Durk for years, suggesting that the current federal case represents the culmination of a much longer investigation. Academics continues to explain the persistence of law enforcement's pursuit.
The reason why they did it, they even admitted, the detectives, they said, we've been trying to get this money. We couldn't get him. Remember, he caught 3 gun cases.
This acknowledgement from officers themselves, admitting that Durk previously walked away from several major cases, shows why the current indictment carries such weight from the prosecution's standpoint. Meanwhile, Durk's own attitude toward the severity of his situation is captured in another leaked jail communication, revealing a surprising level of confidence, even bravado, despite facing charges that could potentially put him behind bars for life.
I don't fear nothing. Chill, death. It is what it is, like, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I got a brain. I know how to move, and I know what not to.
This statement, while showcasing Durk's mental fortitude, also exposes the reality that even under federal lockup and facing the gravest charges of his life, he still carries a street-hardened mindset, the same mentality prosecutors insist fueled the alleged conspiracy. Durk's defense team, led by attorney Drew Findling, has pursued an aggressive legal strategy but continues to face towering obstacles. In April 2025, they filed motions to dismiss the indictment, arguing the case was built on flawed evidence, including mischaracterized lyrics and a lack of direct proof tying Durk to the alleged plot. They claimed the prosecution presented a misleading narrative to the grand jury and relied heavily on circumstantial material. One of their few wins came in May 2025, when prosecutors issued another superseding indictment removing all references to Durk's lyrics, an acknowledgement that using rap music as evidence of criminal behavior is controversial, constitutionally questionable, and widely criticized by legal scholars and civil rights advocates. Yet even with that victory, a judge denied Durk's renewed request for bail on May 8, 2025, citing illicit jail communications and other incidents as indicators of both flight risk and potential danger to the community. The denial was especially significant given that it came after prosecutors had already weakened their own case by dropping the lyrical evidence. The investigation has also revealed a much broader federal focus on F and its affiliated members. In December 2024, Durk was connected, though never formally charged, to a separate Chicago murder-for-hire case involving Stefan Mack, and prosecutors have claimed he placed financial bounties on various targets, including a relative of a cooperating witness. These allegations have strengthened the government's argument that Durk poses an ongoing threat to public safety. The timing of his arrest added another twist to the unfolding saga. At the moment federal agents moved in, Lil Durk was allegedly attempting to flee the country. Customs and Border Protection flagged him as having booked international flights to Dubai, Switzerland, and Italy, and he was detained near Miami International Airport less than an hour before the Italy-bound plane was scheduled to depart. Prosecutors have used this attempted departure as proof of consciousness of guilt and a heightened flight risk. As clips and audio from his jail calls continue circulating online, they serve as a visceral reminder of the personal and emotional toll behind the headlines. The voice heard in those calls isn't just that of a chart-topping rapper. It belongs to a father of multiple children, a fiancé, and the leader of an organization that has provided livelihoods to dozens of people. The outcome of this trial will shape not only his future but the futures of everyone connected to his orbit and his empire. The extensive body of evidence prosecutors claim to have assembled, paired with the alleged cooperation of longtime associates, places Durk's legal team in an increasingly uphill battle. With each new revelation surfacing from filings and media leaks, the alleged scope of the conspiracy grows clearer, depicting what prosecutors argue was an organization operating as both a successful music label and a criminal enterprise molded by the harshest realities of the streets. This, in turn, raises urgent questions about the depth of Durk's bond with King Von, a loyalty so profound that authorities claim it pushed him into one of hip-hop's most explosive revenge plots. The viral jail footage hasn't just exposed a legal saga, it has peeled back layers of a brotherhood so intense that it allegedly ignited a chain of events with life-altering consequences. To understand why Durk now sits in a federal detention center facing the possibility of life without parole, it's necessary to understand the bond he shared with King Von. It was a connection that surpassed traditional industry alliances and evolved into something resembling blood family forged in the unforgiving trenches of Chicago. The relationship between Lil Durk and King Von wasn't the typical artist-to-artist collaboration. It was mentorship, kinship, and business all entwined, a bond that reshaped Chicago's drill landscape and ultimately laid the foundation for the federal charges threatening to end Durk's career. King Von, born Davon Daquan Bennett, was a rising Chicago rapper and core member of Durk's Only the Family collective before he was killed on November 6, 2020, during a confrontation outside the Monaco Hookah Lounge in Atlanta. When Durk first met Von, he didn't see just another street figure trying to rap. He saw authenticity in its rawest form, something impossible to fabricate. Von carried a natural storytelling ability that even veteran drill artists recognized as exceptional, bringing brutal scenes of street life to life with cinematic clarity. In one of his most revealing long-form interviews, Durk recalled the precise moment he realized Von's extraordinary potential and chose to elevate him. It wasn't a lucky discovery, it was a deliberate acknowledgement of rare talent that would change both their trajectories forever.
One of the closest motherfuckers with me told me, start rapping. You just find you some artists. So that made me kind of go hard, you know what I'm saying? But when I See, Vaughn always been Vaughn. Like, if Vaughn was gonna be a rapper, a basketball player, football player, Vaughn was always gonna be Vaughn. Like a good-hearted man. So he like, man, when I go on Breakfast Club.
Van's influence stretched far past his talent in the booth. Durk saw in Vaughn a reflection of his own early hunger, that raw authenticity, that fearless willingness to speak on the brutal truths of street life while still carrying the respect that came from surviving it. This wasn't a label-crafted persona or a packaged image for the charts. This was unfiltered reality, born straight out of the trenches, with stories too lived in to ever be staged. What started as a professional collaboration quickly developed into something far more personal and foundational.
Give me like 5 songs. He like, man, this shit, he said all shit weak. And I told him, I'm like, man, this is my favorite song right here.
What's up?
And it's crazy. Crazy story.
Really?
That motherfucker dropped Crazy Story, started going crazy. We was on tour. We was on tour too. Put him on tour, I started bringing him out. Then shit, Vaughn just became like, if Vaughn was alive right now, he'd be like the biggest right now.
This moment underscores just how fast Van's abilities were recognized and how dramatically his path shifted once Durk put the full force of F behind him. What set their connection apart in the larger hip-hop world was how deeply rooted it was in genuine care, not contracts. Durk never viewed Vaughn as an investment to squeeze for gain. He considered him family, someone whose wins were tied to his own, and whose safety he felt obligated to protect. That instinct, that almost paternal sense of duty, would later become key to understanding why an alleged retaliation plot was even believed to exist. Their creative chemistry was equally striking. Van arrived with uncut energy and half-shaped ideas, and Durk refined them into fully realized records without stripping away the grit that made Van's voice so captivating.
It's so crazy because Vaughn used to come in the studio and be like, hey, finish this for me. I'll help him out, finish it for him. Then that motherfucker just caught. Like, he just started rapping, started listening to his shit, you be like, damn, alright. Come on, bitch, let's die here. Like that's how he is. He ain't like, what you think they gonna think? Down my, come on, let's die. I'm talking down my head. Go on here, bitch, die your whole head. Ooh, come on, twin, come on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that's that. I'm like, fuck.
This joint creative rhythm exposed something essential about the way they operated together. It wasn't structured like a typical mentor-rookie arrangement where one voice dominated every decision. Even though Durk held the status of a seasoned figure and Van entered the game as the newer presence, the environment between them was built on a level of mutual trust that allowed Van to grow without being confined. Durk provided him the reach, the platform, and the visibility, but the drive, the perspective, and the authenticity that defined Van's style were entirely his own. Their connection stretched long past the studio sessions and concert appearances. Durk guided Vaughn through every corner of the rap industry, showing him how to navigate contracts, travel, expectations, and the constant noise surrounding fame, all while keeping the street principles that shaped them both intact. That guidance wasn't simply about music careers or business wins. It involved learning how to survive in a landscape that could be just as unpredictable, intense, and dangerous as the neighborhoods they grew up in, especially for artists whose lyrics were tied to real-world situations and genuine tension. Van's rapid climb within drill music was directly linked to the support and structure Durk offered. In a remarkably short amount of time, Vaughn shifted from being relatively unfamiliar to becoming one of the most talked-about names in the genre. His gift for storytelling, combined with Durk's network and understanding of the industry, formed a surge of momentum that might have taken years for him to achieve alone. But with that rise came more attention from police, more eyes from opposition, and more pressure linked to the Chicago scene. And when Vaughn was killed in Atlanta, it signaled more than the end of a breakthrough career. It tore apart a bond that had become central to both of their worlds.
You know, one of my favorite rappers ever was King Von.
Yeah.
You had a great relationship with him, obviously.
Yeah.
Where were you when you got the call?
We was in Houston. We was shooting a video, I think. Yeah.
He was one of the most talented guys on the planet.
Somebody told me if you can copy an artist to be somebody for Halloween, you made it. He had a whole image. You know what I'm saying? And he lived what he lives. What he rapped about, he lived, but he was good-hearted at the same time. So it's like
Durk's reaction to that call in Houston triggered a sequence of events that federal prosecutors now claim directly led to the murder-for-hire scheme for which he faces a potential life sentence. Vaughn's death was more than a personal tragedy. It was an assault on everything Durk had built, on his legacy, and on everyone he held close. Within the streets and across hip-hop culture, there exists an unspoken code of loyalty and retaliation. When someone you consider family is taken, particularly under circumstances that feel preventable or unfair, the expectation is that action will follow. This code extends beyond violence. It is about respect, honor, and preserving credibility in spaces where showing weakness can have deadly consequences. The federal case against Durk frames his devotion to Vaughn as crossing the line from mourning into criminal conspiracy. Prosecutors argue that instead of channeling grief through music or legal avenues, Durk allegedly used his influence, network, and resources to engineer a plot of vengeance, one that ultimately claimed an innocent life and devastated multiple households. The tragedy is compounded by the sense that Van's death could have been avoided. It began with a physical confrontation between Vaughn and rapper Wando Rondo, Taquan Bowman, which escalated into a shooting involving members of their crews. Van was struck multiple times and succumbed to his injuries, while Timothy Lull, known as Tim Leaks, an associate of Rondo, was initially charged with the murder before those charges were dismissed in October 2023 under Georgia's Stand Your Ground law. That dismissal intensified the perception of injustice, fueling what prosecutors say became a desire for street retribution. From Durk's perspective, the legal system had failed to deliver justice for his fallen brother, leaving him to seek resolution through other means. Their relationship embodies both the uplifting and dangerous sides of hip-hop culture, showcasing mentorship, loyalty, and genuine care between artists on one hand. On the other hand, it illustrates how the same codes that foster deep bonds can also spark cycles of violence that consume lives and communities. Now, as Durk remains in federal custody facing the possibility of permanent incarceration, viral jail communications underscore the personal cost of that loyalty. The same connection that drove him to elevate Van's career is the one alleged to have motivated a path toward revenge, bringing charges that could strip him of his freedom forever. The ripple of this tragedy extends far beyond Durk and Vaughn, affecting families, communities, and fans who once viewed their partnership as a symbol of what could happen when raw talent met opportunity in hip-hop. Instead of celebrating Van's posthumous music or Durk's ongoing success, the culture now witnesses the potential collapse of everything they built together. Love this story? Click on the cards on your screen to explore more.